Hello, I'm Tim Maguire and I'm from Maidstone, Ontario. And I'm here to tell the story about my ancestry and how it goes back to good old sod, our homeland. It's my great grandparents, Timothy Maguire and Bridget McHugh, be on your right as you view it. They were the ones that came over with a family of 4 daughters and 1 son. They came over in '46. They left the community of Tully-Namoyle right on the border of County Cavan and County Leitrim. And they came as a result of all that was going on at that time in their homeland. Now one of their oldest daughters is Lizzie Maguire, who married John Quinlan, and she was one of the ones that was born in Ireland. Now my great grandfather Tady Maguire, he was born in 1848 here in Maidstone. So, but the tie is very, very close in that we have ancestors, or we have connections and cousins all around the place because they arrived that long ago. But we know that there was a lot of pain involved in that time, and we've got here's a picture of just before I put this down, here's a picture of my great-grandparents. That'd be Tady Maguire and his wife Sarah McHugh. And that's my direct line. But we know that there's going to be some story that comes out of this is about gross eel. And I'd like to read this poem. John Hoban wrote the poem, and he takes it very personal, as does another individual, Vincent McGrath, who's got a story of its own, but I've left that information for you to consider. But I'd like to read the poem about the gross eel. We can't put an amount of pain on it, but here's what he wrote. I was born in Ireland in the year 1820, in a village on the border between Galway and Mayo. I was married with 3 children. The potato crop failed us. Saw my brothers and sisters die painfully slow. The pangs of this hunger took hold of my people. Saw them die on the roadside, the young and the old. We had heard of a place you now call Canada. We could live with dignity and hope, we were told. Say goodbye to my parents, I'd ne'er again see them. With my wife and 3 children, we left Liverpool by sea. We thought we had left these horrors behind us. On a ship called the Syria, we met death and disease. In my arms, my wife died between Ireland and Canada. Her last breath was a prayer. She was buried at sea. I, too, was dying from starvation and sickness by the time our ship anchored at the Isle of Gross Eel. Separated from my children, confined to the island, I died and was buried on that sacred new land. I asked that our graves be rightfully honored. Please sing my song so that all may understand. So this is my story, a terrible story. Starvation midst plenty, denied dignity and hope. Thanks to the people of Quebec and Canada for adopting my children, giving them a good home. The last words I'll give come from a coffin ship, spoken by a creature from Eris at home. You have heard our sighs sometimes at night. We are your famine dead. And I cannot say this in the Irish. I wish I could. I'd like to show it to you in the way he wrote it, and perhaps you might be able to glean from it what it says. But I don't have a chance of being able to explain what indeed the pronunciation is. I don't know for certain what it says. But just taking it from there, how they landed in Maidstone, and the next year they moved out to the Tiernan farm out in the county municipality of Maidstone, township of Maidstone. They started their families, and about the year 2000, the millennium, we decided as a community, we in Maidstone decided we're going to do something to honor the Irish pioneers. So the efforts were made by different people to be able to make this all happen. And as a result of having a few fundraisers and getting the Irish on board, the locals, and some of them were they're all very interested. Some more than others, but all were interested because it was a very Irish community in started in 1825 with Colonel Talbot. And the first wave of Irish that landed there, but then there's people through the 1830s, and the famine wave, we called ourselves, that'd be my line, and then there was people in the 1850s that showed up again too. So it was Irish then, it remains Irish throughout the years. And in the year 2000, we decided we'd erect a commemoration and a Celtic cross. So efforts were made to put that in place, and just so that you know the dimensions of it, that's a fellow who's 6 foot tall, and he's got himself about 2 feet above his head to the top of the cross, and about 4 feet underneath him. So it is a huge cross out in the middle of St. Mary's Cemetery in the St. Mary's Catholic Church. Here's more of the photos of it, the way it stands on a nice day in the summer months where it's more green, and it's always nice in that particular area, but here's now is the winter time, the winter scene, and it's very much enjoyed by hundreds of people. Would come and visit that, not on a regular weekly basis, but over time there's been many people come out to see that Celtic cross. It stands there, and we hope it's going to stand there for 1,000 years in recognition of our Irish pioneer heritage and the families. We have this that was drawn up. Again, I'm going to hold it up just for a short time so you can get an appreciation for. But what it was about in the year 2000, when we had the Bi-Millennium, is what we had. That was the title that we showed that, and on the back of it. And this was a leaflet for the day, or bulletin, as it were, of the day. But here's some of the names that have been entered on that particular Celtic cross. Not knowing whether you're going to be able to depict them or not, but these are the names, and I'll be leaving a hard copy with you. I'm just enjoying so much to be able to be here this day and to be able to share other stories. This particular case is the Maguire story, but so many stories are like the Maguire story. Come over with nothing, hope to survive, knowing that you've got a good possibility of dying en route, as I'm thinking that there was like 20% of the population that did indeed leave Ireland. As much as 20% actually died en route, and then there was the deaths that caught them, and they had to wait on gross eel to be admitted into Canada. They waited on ships. Typhus did take over. Many people died.